Hi, it's Kanye Dre, Missionary Paula. It's good to be back again this week. And this week, I would like to read a scenario from my first book. I did this several weeks ago, and I like to do it again on today. So bear with me. And for those of you who do like to dig into the word, if you read First Samuel chapter 15, verse 22 would be the main, or I could say key scripture. However, reading the entire chapter, it would really give you insight into what I'm talking about. So just let me read the scenario for you real quick. Okay, so I write here that a man and his family are going through financial struggle and they need help with food for the month. But so far, every agency he tried has nothing left to give to his family. So then the man hears from God. God instructs the young man to travel to a place that has food for his family. God tells him, leave your home by 3 p.m. because the place in the next county can provide food for your family for the next 30 days. But be there by 4:15. However, travel the local streets to get there before everyone leaves the building. The man knew from past experience that it has taken him 1 hour or more to get to this place through the local streets. But he knows that from the highway, it's only 45 minutes away. So he decides to take the highway instead of the way God told him to go. So now what do you think happened? Do you think it was better for the young man to take what he thought was the quickest route? Ordinarily, the quickest route would have been the way to go, but God told the man to take the longer route. And he said so for a reason. See, once the man got on the highway, with other cars coming up quickly behind him, the man could now see traffic was at a complete standstill just ahead of him. Now the man was caught up in a traffic jam because he chose to go his way. The man sat in traffic for 35 minutes before he could even move. Then when traffic finally began to move, it took another 45 minutes to get there, making him 5 minutes late in reaching his destination. Now the doors were locked and would not be open again until the following month. What would have been a 1 hour trip through town took 1 hour and 20 minutes on the highway, leaving the man and his family without provision for 30 days. Now, I know that might sound like, oh no, that's not something God would do. And quite frankly, God didn't do it. That was the young man's fault, not God's fault. God already knew about the accident. God already prepared the way. He already told the young man which way to go. But because the young man didn't know about the accident, he thought he knew better. See, he didn't want to ride through town and risk it taking longer than an hour and him not being there in time. But God knew that if he did go through town, that he would make it. He might have only had a few minutes to spare, but nonetheless, he would have been there in a timely fashion, and he would have gotten the provision for his family. So, so now what happens? As I said, it's not God punishing anyone. The young man made a choice, and he chose to follow his own thinking versus God's thinking. And it's the same thing you'll see in chapter 15 of 1 Samuel. Saul, who was going to be anointed king. Just imagine being anointed a king. What a blessing, to be over so many people. And God gave Saul instruction on what to do. And, Saul pretty much did what God instructed him to do, but he also did a couple of things that God told him not to do. God said destroy everything and everyone. But that's not what Saul did. So, therefore, he lost his crown. Now, like I'm saying, it's, it's in our best interest when God gives us an instruction that we follow it. It's for our benefit, even if we don't think that it is at the time. So, it's just like having an allergic reaction to certain foods. Let's say, for instance, let's say I'm allergic to shrimp. I know I'm allergic to shrimp, but yet, I just love some shrimp and I'm going to eat some anyway. But now, an hour later, my face is all swollen up and I can hardly see because, there's swelling around the eyes. Can I blame God for that? No, I can't. I knew that I should stay away from shrimp because I knew I was allergic because of my first allergic reaction when I ate it. See, I could use many different examples just like that. If we know that there is something that we ought to not do, and we do it, then, there will be consequences for it. And, a lot of times people, blame God, and God has nothing to do with it. Not Satan doesn't even have anything to do with it. It's our choice. God has given us a free will. And, we decide on whether or not we're going to follow God or our own thinking. And, like I said, we may not always like God's way, but believe me, God's way is a better way. And God's way brings us peace. And that, when we have peace, we have joy. It's just such it's a good feeling when you know that, you're doing everything, I'm not to say, you're doing everything right and you're perfect, but when we know we're as good as we can be, at the moment, that we're doing all that we can do honestly for God, that, gives us that peace, that gives us that joy on the inside, because we know we're doing our best. We're doing, everything possible. Okay, yes, we might make a mistake here, we might make a mistake there, but it's a learning process. So, with that being said, just, continue to stay focused on God, His Word, and continue to count it all joy. Until next week, God bless.